Mason is the author of 6 books, a freelance project designer, and an editor whose work can be found in print, online, and on television. Today, Lorine is transforming a child's sweatshirt into a Bolero jacket. I'm delighted to welcome Lorine Mason. Hi, Lorine.
Hi, Tiffany. I am trying something new today. I pinned up my bangs. Don't know if that helps or not. And I moved my camera. I'm going to try a tabletop demo. Before I get started, let me talk a little bit about what we're going to do. Tiffany and I had a couple of talks lately about what makes for a good demo, and she suggested number one is that I have the screen come down to the tabletop so you can see what I'm actually doing rather than just talking. So bear with me. That's what I'm going to do. The other thing we talked about is simplicity. In some cases, apparently, I try to give you way too much information. I'm a fast talker. I like to get it done fast. I'm one of those people that usually is doing 10 things at once. So apparently that comes through when I'm on air. So I'm going to try to do it, slow it down a little bit. And what I decided to do is I've got a sweatshirt, and we're going to cut a regular cheapio sweatshirt up for a child, and we're going to make a Bolero jacket. And then I'm going to leave you to embellish it. So it's going to be all about cutting the sweatshirt today. We'll see how the reaction is to it, and then perhaps I can come on a later date to embellish it. Or the other thing is, I happen to have written a number of books. This is the first book I wrote. Then I wrote this book, not to have sweatshirts out there, I did t-shirts. Then I came back to this one. The first sweatshirt book was so popular that we did one for tots to teens. Now, in each of the books I've showed you, there is children's designs. And I'm going to be selling all of these on the marketplace with Tiffany. They're not up there as yet because I couldn't figure out how to put them up there, Tiffany. I'm so sorry. I'm such a dope. I don't know why you just don't give up on me. But they will be up there if anybody's interested, and I will have discounted prices because some of the books have been out for a little while. My newest book is called Hand Me Ups. It's Hand Me Ups, and this one has just been out for a few months, and it's children's designs and repurposing clothing. But today we're going to concentrate on sweatshirts. I believe Tiffany had the cover of the book up front. So if you want to put that up there again, Tiffany, I'm going to move my camera down, and we'll see if we can get a tabletop here. Okay, if you want to bring it back and let me see where I am with the camera. Okay, maybe I'm going to tip it down just a touch more. I hope this works for you. Oh, it's pretty good. Oh, you got a good view of my chest as well. Oh, well, I got a good shirt on for it. All right, this is my tabletop. I have a cutting mat. I will not be sewing today. I'm going to start my timer here, too, even though I've already been talking for a while. But I will not be sewing today, but you are going to see me cutting up the sweatshirt, marking it. We're going to pretend to iron and things like that. So you should have a good handle on how to take that simple sweatshirt and turn it into a Bolero jacket for a child, or this can all be changed, of course, into an adult Bolero. With all the cute little sundresses and things that are now, and with the heavy air conditioning I find in the shopping centers and church and different places like that, it's quite important to have that little jacket to go over those sundresses. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a child's sweatshirt. What I suggest is the sweatshirt should be fit the child slightly loosely, because this is going to be going over a dress or something. We're not putting a closure on the front. So you want to try it on the child, allow for a little bit of shrinkage, so perhaps one size larger. It's really up to you. Sweatshirts do not fit perfectly, and they're not meant to. First thing I do is I take an iron and I press my sweatshirt really well. And of course, you're not going to press on your cutting surface. You're just going to bear with me here. And you're going to press it nice and flat, get the sleeves out nice and flat. Then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to take the sweatshirt and fold it in half. Now, this is the front edge of my sweatshirt here, and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm matching my shoulder seams. Can you see them there? Yeah, matching my shoulder seams, matching my sleeves, and matching the bottom edge and the side seams along here. And I'm going to give that a really good pressing. Okay, what that's doing is that's going to mark the center front of the sweatshirt. So when I open it up, I've got that nice creased line, if you can see it there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors, let's turn this around here, and I'm going to cut through the binding straight along that line all the way up to the neckline. Hopefully I'm not boring you with my cutting skills here. And we've got the sweatshirt open. Alrighty, the second thing we're going to do is I want you to take the sleeves. I like doing this on a cutting mat because I can follow the lines. I'm going to have the sleeve run across one of these straight lines on my cutting mat. I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm doing this backwards for me, but it should be the right way for you. And I'm going to run the line, the ruler, parallel with the cross line here, the vertical line. And I've decided I want to cut off 5 inches from the tip of the cuff up to the sleeve. That is all up to you. Where do you want the cuff to be on the child? Do you want a short sleeve? Do you want a 3/4 sleeve? It really is up to you. Have the child try it on and maybe put a little mark either with a fabric marker that it washes out, which this one, I love this brand, or put a little pin or something. So I know I want to cut that off, so I'm going to keep that ruler straight and I'm going to draw a line. Alrighty, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Once I've done that, I'm going to cut off that sleeve. Now, be sure when you're doing that measurement that you allow for a hem. Depending on what you're going to do on the design, you might want to add a fabric cuff. You might just want to turn this in. It's really up to you, and this is where the books come in handy. Or like I said, we might on a future show get into embellishing these cut-up sweatshirts. All right, magic of live webcasting here. I'm going to switch to another sweatshirt here that I've already done these things on. If you see, I have cut across, I've cut down the front, and I've cut both of my sleeves. I've also taken the liberty, I better go back to this, sorry, I forgot a step. You need to cut off that bottom binding. Okay, can you see? It's a little hard here, so I need to go this way. Okay, there's the bottom binding, and you're simply going to cut along the top of it, following the seam line, and just trim that binding completely off. Now we get back to this sweatshirt. Now, be sure and save this binding and also save the cuffs because we'll get into some interesting things that we can do with these later in another program. All right, back to my sweatshirt here. I've got the binding cut off, I've got it cut up the front, and I've got my sleeves cut off. Now, in my Bolero jacket, I want a rounded front. Now, we could do the math. We could measure up vertically from this bottom front edge and then measure out horizontally so we get this perfect circle in here. I'm all about eyeballing things. So I've misplaced my little marker here, so I'm going to reach in the drawer and get another one. Fortunately, I have all kinds. I'm always misplacing things. I discovered that my dishes are no longer round. My dinner plates and things are square now. I guess I'm kind of hip. I have square dishes. But I've always used a dinner plate or a luncheon plate or something round to get that rounded curve on the front of my sweatshirts and t-shirts and things. No longer have that, so I'm going to use a Tupperware lid. I'm simply going to place the Tupperware lid, I'm going to stand up here, place the Tupperware lid even with the front edge and the bottom edge, and I'm going to draw a line. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just kind of eyeballing to see if I like that curve. And you know what? I do. So, I like that curve, so I'm going to cut directly around that line. Now you're wondering, how am I going to get that exact curve on the other side? Probably. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to fold this together, match my front seam and my bottom seam line, and cut the exact curve. That way I know that this is even. Now I would take, let me sit down here again, now I would take this little Bolero sweatshirt and I would try it on the child and I would decide, do I like the length of it? Is it exactly what I want? One thing I should have mentioned before is if you want to make it shorter, you would cut, when you cut that binding off the bottom, you could also cut up a little higher if you want it to be a real, like more like a shrug or something where it comes just maybe 3 or 4 inches above the waistline. You would measure that up before you do your curve. In this case, I wanted it to be a little longer because the sweatshirt, once I do the hem, is probably going to come and sit just about the child, just above the child's waistline, because I'm going to do a hem on this particular one. Play around with it, decide what